Well, an absolutely horrific loss last night by the 76ers. We'll talk about it all show. You know, the reality is really nothing else in Philly sports matters right now. And that's saying something because the Phils are on quite a roll and the Eagles have a draft in 2 days. But it's a Sixers day for obvious reasons. If you stayed up late last night to watch that game, Godspeed to you. Because we got a lot to discuss today as the Sixers now find themselves in a 2-0 hole. 215-592-9494 to weigh in on all of it. Joe DeCamera, John Ritchie, Rich.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, bud.
Three Musketeers candy bars used to contain 3 bars.
Well,
3 separate bars. The original 1932 version had 1 bar that was chocolate nougat, 1 bar that had vanilla, and 1 bar that had strawberry nougat.
So here's a
Sounds
fact.
a lot better to me.
Here's a fact.
Can I guess what it is? You don't care.
Yeah, Sixers had a decent-sized lead until they didn't, and then they lost. So, all right, let's just, again, let me say, we are going to be really heavy on the phone lines today. We actually were going to have guests related to the NFL draft. We cleared everything out. It's all cleared out. The whole thing's cleared out. This is a you and us on the phone lines day for us to lament together and discuss together what happened and what it means. And so, again, the phone line's right out of the gate for you, 215-592-9494. Let me just say a few things here. First off, it is obviously an all-time Philadelphia sports loss. It just is. You know, rarely, and I mean really rarely, in my lifetime as a Philadelphia sports fan, in a big spot. I mean, regular season games, and you know, you go through all the thousands of games we've all seen. You know, we've seen crazy twists and turns. Rarely in a big spot has the seeming thrill of victory been snatched away so suddenly and with such controversy, leading to the agony of defeat. And, you know, as this is no random defeat. This is now a 2-0 series lead. This is really tough, man. This is really tough. You know, you pour your heart and soul into something for years. You want to see your team do well. They obviously have a shot. I mean, you know, they're right there with the Knicks, and they just now, through 2 games, and of course, home court advantage matters, and what you do in the regular season matters. You know, these are games that, you know, if they had been in Philadelphia, they probably would have won it, probably would have gotten more calls. So there's ramifications going back to the last 6 months and everything that went down. But, you know, the end sequence obviously was just an absolute all-time killer. Let's listen to how it went down last night because there was a lot going on at the end. Let's listen to the killer sequence. The Sixers are up 5, seconds are left. I mean, it would be really almost impossible for the Sixers to lose the game, but they did as absolute all hell broke loose.
Batum on Brunson, a lot of clock ticking here. Lowry got the pick. DiVincenzo comes out of the pack. DiVincenzo finds Brunson. Great defense here by the Sixers. Brunson gets a prayer of a bounce. 2-point game. Maxey hits the deck. Hart takes it from him. Shot clock is off. DiVincenzo, no. Hartenstein with an offensive rebound. Another chance here. DiVincenzo. He's got it. The Knicks have the lead again.
Now, look, obviously we want to hear from you, 215-592-9494 for your reaction. I'll just say a few things and then turn it over to John. What happened? All right, so what happened is more than just those 15 or so seconds you just heard. Here's what happened. The refs killed the Sixers. You know, Maxey was fouled, and Nick Nurse did call a timeout. But the Sixers also lost composure in a lot of ways. Lowry, who is the most veteran of all veterans, did not call timeout himself, and he should have. Like, a ref theoretically could miss a coach. Theoretically, could miss a coach trying to call timeout on the sideline. There's no ref worth his salt that would miss the player with the ball calling timeout himself. That thing was 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Like, that thing was deep enough that Lowry himself should have called timeout. What else happened where composure was lost? Nick Batum, who I'm a fan of, he put his body on nobody as that ball went up in the air for the missed three-pointer that led to a Hartenstein rebound that led to obviously another three-pointer. So he killed them there. Prior to all that, Embiid wore down. Now, he gave them a really good game in a lot of ways, but for the second consecutive game in the fourth quarter, he wore down. So in a world where, and I said this before the playoffs started, it was very obvious for the Sixers to win a title or even make a deep run, they were going to need the, quote, best of Embiid. He is now 0 for 2 in the quest to give them his best, obviously. Final thing I'll say, and then to John. No one else, and I mean no one else, but Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid stepped up. And we talked for a good portion of the season. Who's the third best player? Who's the third best player? Who's going to help these two guys? Last night, no one did. I know a couple guys played a couple defense. Okay, I get it. Oubre didn't score. Batum didn't do enough. Lowry was missing free throws. Lowry didn't call a timeout. I mean, I'm a fan of some of these guys. Harris is, don't even waste my time.
Was out there all freaking night, though,
yeah,
Tobias.
Yeah, so, okay, 215-592-9494. John, there's like a million things going through my head. What's top of mind?
To your point, I had to get this out there. The stat that I remember, there was like 10 minutes left in the second quarter. We had 29 points. 23 of those points were Embiid and Maxey.
Yeah.
That in a nutshell exemplifies, like, holy cow, they got no help whatsoever. It's incredibly frustrating. I understand. But the home team usually wins in the NBA. Case in point, the first set of games in round one, the home team won every one of them. And, last night I was positive we had that one. I was positive we proved to everyone that we were the better team.
And John, I was ready.
Last 30 seconds.
I was ready to be so proud. We were so close to being so proud.
And Joel, it wasn't perfect, and there's still stuff where it's like he's working through it, but he still needs to flip that switch and trust the knee. He needs to trust that the knee's fixed and you're no longer injured, that the clicking and popping is normal. Look, we played better. We as a team were better than we were in game one. That was positive. I think we were better than the Knicks in game two. Holy cow, we were better than the Knicks.
Until the final 15 seconds.
And that was wrong. The way that was officiated, it was wrong. It was a mistake. And I hope that something comes of that, because Nick Nurse has a great point. We, as Sixers fans, we have great points. He was trying to call timeout repeatedly and ignored. So that is, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but Joel needs to understand he's no longer rehabbing. He's completely fixed, and he can play however hard he wants on this knee, and you're going to see a better version of him. I'm expecting.
All right, hold on. Before we get to that, let's get to Nick Nurse. Let's. We're not at game 3 yet. Nick Nurse, last night after the game, that final sequence, the crazy stuff. Let's listen to what he said post-game.
The first thing is, obviously they score. We take a look at getting it in quick. We don't get it in quick. I call timeout. Referee looked right at me, ignored me. Went into Tyrese. I called timeout again. Then the melee started, and I guess I got to run out onto the floor or do something to make sure and get his attention. But I needed a timeout there to advance it. Would have been good, but couldn't get it.
It didn't say anything to you or an explanation?
There was no time to talk about it. Matt, you can ask him if you want to. See if he saw me calling timeout. I just watched the film just to make sure, and I'm clearly calling timeout. I didn't see if he looked at me in the film, but I could see me clearly calling timeout twice.
All right, that's Nick Nurse right after the game.
That's exactly why we need to get a win in New York at some point to prevent having to come down to Game 7.
That's right.
When something like this can happen. Like, this feels like this wouldn't have happened were it here in Philly.
No, I think that's probably true. I mean, the crowd going nuts, there was probably confusion for the refs, but it's still their job to get it right, and they didn't. Now, it's also Kyle Lowry's job to call timeout, and he didn't. James, what is your reaction to anything and everything?
Yeah, all of it. I mean, to your point, really, truly an all-time bad Philadelphia. All time. Like, that was my first instinct. Like, this is one of the worst. Like, obviously, there's deeper in the playoffs losses that matter more, but it doesn't get worse. They were at 5 points and 40 seconds left.
It's
5 points and 40 seconds left.
It's not Joe Carter. It's not Rundy Barber. It's not Patrick Kane. Okay, it's not the 64 Phils. But, like, you can make a good case. It's
the
tier
next.
2.
It's the next.
Yeah.
And to your guys' point, Maxey 35 points, Embiid 34, the rest of the team 32.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not good enough.
No.
All the stuff we talk. And look, the refs sucked. I get it. And like for the Nick Nurse thing, I actually think Nick Nurse, what he said there, he should have done. He should have been running in their faces. He's like calling timeout kind of lightly, like get in their faces, man. Like Thibodeau would have tackled a ref in that spot to get a timeout.
Veteran coach should know better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I am disappointed in the reffing, but at the end of the day, man, the Sixers still should have won that game. Like that can't come down. Don't let the refs end it like that. I mean, they should have been up 15 at the half. They dominated that half.
Lowry missed a lot of free throws.
So many spots.
Yeah.
So like, man, I'm frustrated with the refs, but I am not blaming the refs for last night. Like the Sixers still should have found a way to win that game, and they didn't.
All right, Rhea, what is top of mind? And again, everyone at 215-592-9494. What is top of mind for you, Rhea?
Do the Sixers even practice the inbounds pass?
It's been a struggle all year.
It's
Great question.
always a struggle for them. I mean, seriously. So yeah, did Kyle Lowry grab the back of Maxey's shirt?
Jalen Brunson,
not Lowry.
Brunson. I'm sorry, Brunson. I'm mixing up my Nova players.
Yep.
But Maxey also pushed off on Josh Hart. So, but I'm watching that going. You inbounds the ball, they don't win the game.
You also had a chance to just call timeout right from the jump. This was Charles's point post game. You call the timeout immediately before Lowry even corrals the ball and starts getting in trouble.
Correct.
Then you move the ball to half court. So even theoretically, if the ball, first off, you get to literally strategize how to get the ball in. But secondly, you also, what you get to do then is theoretically, if the ball is stolen by the other team, at least they still got to go 45 feet down the court to do anything of substance.
They panicked.
They did panic, which is all part of why we have two different poll questions today. And I think all of these answers are big answers. The question is, which are the biggest answers? Today's Twitter poll question of the day brought to us by Armin Chevrolet. It's truck season at Armin. Available 2.9% financing for up to 72 months on all new light-duty Armin Silverados. Together, let's drive to ArminChevy.com. First poll question. What's the biggest reason why the Sixers lost Game 2? We could probably come up with more than 4. We've come up with 4 because that's what Twitter gives us. Here we go. Biggest reason why the Sixers lost Game 2, we put them in alphabetical order. A, Embiid wore down. B, no third player stepped up. C, refs screwed Sixers. D, Sixers lost composure. All worthy choices for consideration. Which way do you most lean? 215-592-9494. Second poll question. Let's talk about the emotional side of it.
Sixers did not have miniature Villanova squad
That's
on
right.
their team to contribute. We talk about, we have our two guys who did everything.
Yeah.
Just Maxey and Joel. Really, those Villanova guys, it's like go across the board. They're 20 points in these first two games.
And Hartenstein. What a game that guy played, man.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
He was great. Mitchell Robinson gave him a great game 1. Hartenstein gave him a great game 2.
It's like the idea that you're going for in crossing sports here, with Georgia guys or with Alabama guys and Howie with the Eagles. I don't want to go there, but yeah.
Well, and I'll say this, for this
it's
poll,
working for them.
For this poll, if we had an E, I would have put in, and I really strongly considered trying to Jimmy rig it in, but just the heart of the Knicks. I mean, you can't discredit what they are accomplishing and how, listen, life is sometimes about digging down. They dug down.
Grit.
Yeah, they dug down.
They're a team that I would like if they weren't this Knicks team.
All right,
yeah.
Second poll question, to the emotional side of things. Which emotion do you feel the most about the Sixers Game 2 loss? Here are the 4 choices, again in alphabetical order. Anger, bewilderment, disappointment, sadness. You can vote at Sportsradio WIP on Twitter.
What a quartet that is right there.
All right. Phone calls, all show. Again, I told you guys we cleared out every guest.
It is bewildering sometimes.
It's a lot. Every guest we were going to have related to the NFL draft, we cleared them all out. It's you and us on the phone lines today. 215-592-9494. Your reaction to it all, 94 WIP.